Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys I'm going to be profiling for you my B.E.S deck. Or if you guys are wondering what B.E.S stands for, it's short for Bacterian Empire Ship, which is actually the B.E.S archetype is based off the Gradius series of games, which is cool. They're spaceships from Gradius. So that's what it's based off of. I did not know that BES stood for that, but it's really interesting. And this is an archetype that's based off, like I said, that game series from Konami Entertainment. And they actually made it into a Yu-Gi-Oh archetype back, I think it was, they made it, I think it was like late Yu-Gi-Oh, the original late Yu-Gi-Oh era, or I definitely know in the GX era, that's when this archetype started to come out. It was just a couple cards here and there. And it got some support indirectly last year and a few years before that recently, into the part now that it's actually a full-fledged archetype, which is really cool and is actually playable. It's not meta by any stretch of the imagination, but it is pretty fun, and you get to summon big spaceships that are not named a Cosmo Dark Destroyer. So that's the cool thing about this. So let's get into the deck profile and we'll discuss it. I'm going to go over the monsters and the archetypal cards because not a lot of people out there know this archetype or how it even works. So because of that reason, I'm going to go into a little detail on this deck. So first off, we run the newer card that came out last year, which is Bes Blaster Cannon Core, which is very good. The fact that the last two BES cards, monsters-wise, can easily be brought out through special summoning is why they're so decent and they're actually so good. So Bes Blaster Cannon Core is pretty neat. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon one Bes Cannon Core per turn. If this card is normal or special, place 3 counters on it. Can't be destroyed by battle. At the end of damage step, if this card battled, remove 1 counter from this card. You can't destroy if you can't destroy this card. So the thing about this guy is he's a big special summoner that can be brought out. The BES archetype in general, guys, has very big attack. You're not going to go into the extra deck that often. That's something you're going to notice here. You'll notice that their levels are all over the place. We do have a couple of level 4 monsters. We do have a couple of level 6s. But I'm going to be honest with you, you're most likely never going to go into the extra deck. You may go into the extra deck for link monsters. Usually not for exceeds, mainly for links. And that's just for situations, pretty much. Usually you're going to rely upon these big guys because they're big enough. They're going to put a lot of damage in, and if you play your cards right and you get a decent hand, you can potentially kill your opponent in a few turns by setting up big monsters. The fact that he's allowed to be special summoned is really nice. He has a 3,000 booty, he has a 2,500 attack, which is respectable, I feel like, to some degree. So that's pretty nice for a free summonable monster that can't be destroyed by battle. Next we run 3 Bes Big Core MK3. What epic names that these cards have. Now this card is kind of like a, I don't want to say like a Kage Tokage type of card, but kind of-ish. I'm trying to think of a card to compare this to, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But what MK3 does, if your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, so it's kind of like a Cyber Dragon effect, I guess you could say. You can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. If this card is normal or special summon, place 3 counters on this card. Can't be destroyed by battle, which is pretty much every BES card. At the end of damage step, if this card battles a monster, remove 1 counter from this card. It can't be destroyed. You can banish this card from your graveyard, shuffle all BES monsters from your graveyard into your deck, which is the nice thing because you can reuse your BES monsters. Thus, you don't need to run a large BES count. The fact that this guy is a 27,000 attack, can't be destroyed by battles, so even though he's got low defense, if he lives, you're going to have a free 27 beater you just brought out. Whoop-de-doo. And if he's engraved, you can banish him to recycle things, so he becomes kind of like a pot of avarice, which is neat because you need a way to reuse your BES monsters. So very good card, staple 3 of in my opinion. Next we run 2 BES Big K MK2. This is pretty much another one. This came out in the 5Ds era. And this guy is decent. The reason we run him as a 2-up is because of his effect. You're usually going to get him out through your field spell, which is very integral for this deck. And I have to emphasize that. Very integral. And that's the reason why we run him just as a 2-up, because he does take some set up to get the best effect off. So what he does is, if you control no monsters, you can normal summon this card without tributing. When this card is special summoned, place 3 counters on it. This card can't be destroyed by battle. If this card attacks or is attacked, remove 1 counter from this card. At the end of the damage step, if you can't destroy it. So the fact that he has to be special summoned is the reason why we're running him as a 2-of. Same thing goes for B.E.S. Tetran. Tetran's good, and you know, we just need him as a 2-of because his effect is a little bit situational, but he helps get rid of spells and traps pretty much, which is the thing that we run him as a 2-of. So he's a little bit of spell and trap removal to some degree. So that's why he's in there. He can help out with that in some respects. So we just run these as 2-ofs instead of 3-ofs. So that's all for the BES monsters. Like I said, the newer ones, as you can imagine, are going to be run at multiples because they're integral, they're better than the older ones. But you still want to run them, some of those, because they can be useful. And like I said, the MK2, we're running as a 2-of because the field spell can help bring them out. Next, we run 3 Planet Pathfinder. I'm going to be honest with you guys. You got to get to your field spell. The field spell, the Zelos, this card right here, is integral to the deck. It makes this deck go around. I have never had a deck rely so much on a field spell, besides maybe GKs. And you could still win without Necro Rally, technically. But you got to get to the Zelos, because if you don't, you're up the creek. And the fact that a lot of times you're not normal summoning, you're special summoning, doing this and that. Planet Pathfinder is also because it can help you add your field zone, your field spell right away to your hand. So it pretty much, you normal summon this, you tribute it, you get your field spell. That's simple as that. 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, guys. That's what we're running here. This is essential because you want to have a little bit of negation with the deck. This is the modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Even though this deck is not meta, I'm trying to run it the best way I can, and I want to run some amount of hand traps to help out with that. So 3 Ash Blossoms plays a nice part into this deck. In addition to that, guys, we also run 3 BEF Zelos as a 3-of in the deck. And this is essential. This card, your deck revolves around this card. And you may say, hey, you could run this, you could run that. Guys, you have a lot of draw power in this deck. You have a lot of search power. You should be able to get to this turn 1. You have technically, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 searchers, including itself, and that's not including if you hard draw it. That's not including if you use some of your draw power to get to it. There's a bunch of different ways you can get to this card. So you should be able to get this card turn 1. This deck optimally is a going second deck to some degree. So even saying that, you should be able to get to this card fairly early on. So what does this card even do, you may be asking? So I'm going to read it to you because it's very integral. When this card is activated, you can add 1 Boss Rush, which we'll talk about here shortly. 1 Boss Rush card from your deck to your hand. All BES monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense. Now, you think in the grand scheme of things that wouldn't be important, but once you start playing the deck, you find out that 500 attack is helpful. Your opponent can't target them with card effects. So they can't target your BES monsters with card effects. So it makes them little mini Cosmo Dark Destroyers, which is awesome. And they can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Once per turn, you can special summon 1 BES monster from your hand. If a BES monsters is normal or special summoned to the field, place 1 counter on it. So you see how this card really helps out with the deck. Protects them. Makes them mini Cosmo Dark Destroyers. Gives them attack. Yeah. you need this card right away. So we run it as a 3 of, and it's searchable. So we run that. I think the next BES card they come out with needs to search that field spell. Next we have double Boss Rush. I'm going to go over a little bit what Boss Rush does. You probably have seen this out of old packs that you opened up years ago and were like, what is this card? Oh, it looks kind of cool. And then you try to build the deck and you're like, it sucks. But Boss Rush states, the controller of this card can't normal summon / set. During the end phase of this turn, that a monster on your side of the field that includes BES in its card name or is Big Core is destroyed and sent to the graveyard. You can special summon from your deck one monster that includes BES in the card's name or is named Big Core. We don't care about Big Core because we really don't run Big Core. Big Core is the original BES monster. But pretty much this allows you to circulate through your deck other BES monsters. Now you can't normal summon / set. Well, we're not setting cards in this deck, and the only normal summon we really are going to have at the end of the day, to be honest, is Planet Pathfinder. And if we already have this card out, we probably have already got our field spell set up, so it doesn't really matter. So 2 of in the deck, I feel like. We also run 3 limit removal. Now the reason we're running limit removal is because this can help you OTK your opponent. If you have multiple BES cards on your field, your opponent has a bad hand, you can just go limit removal, just run over, rough shot over big cards, and in addition to that, maybe even kill them. So this is a defensive and offensive card in this deck that you wouldn't think works very well, but it's very nice and can come very much in the clutch when needed. So I like it as a 2 of. Next, I run 3 Call by the Haunted. I do not want to get hand trapped, especially Effect Veiler and Ash Blossom. So I'm running Call by the Grave in the main deck. I don't do that with all decks, but if it's very integral to get to certain cards, yeah, I'm going to do that. So 3 Call by the Grave to protect myself from hand traps. In this deck, it's essential. 3 Pot of Extravagance. You don't use the extra deck, and you need that draw power, guys. In addition to that, I'm running 1 Upstart Goblin even as well. So you have a lot of draw power just generically in this deck. You have the max you can probably get. You got 5 Greeds and you got an Upstart. So you should get to your cards you need, your combo pieces, and be pretty good. In addition to that, guys, we run Terraforming and Monster Reborn. These are just some 1-ofs that we run in the deck that come in handy. Monster Reborn's okay. Usually I'm bringing it out so I can use maybe a BES monster, maybe for Link fodder. It does happen. And then you can also bring back things from your opponent's graveyard too. So you can maybe use those for Link fodder. So it's nice. It's not essential, but I like it as a 1-of in the deck. And then Terraforming, you run Terraforming at whatever amount it's at. I'm just going to say that in the deck. So next I run 1 Metaverse as well. This is just to help you pretty much be able to search out your field spell in case it gets destroyed. It's just another way to bring it out. Even though it's a trap and it's slow, it is nice. Next I run 3 Infinite Impermanence. Now Infinite Impermanence works very well in this deck. You want a way to have some negation. This card's perfect for that. While the deck is technically a going second deck, this card is still very good. So I still like it in the deck. In addition to that, because I really don't like my opponent's effects getting off to do anything, I like 3 Titanic Coder. This is something I'm trying out in the deck, guys, right now. I'm trying a lot of this effect negation because I have found through playtesting, usually what my opponent's going to do is they're going to try to go for a certain monster, maybe to get rid of my field spell and use an effect or something of that nature, and so I want to be able to negate that effect. So Titanic Coder is nice to help out with that because it's reoccurring negation. And I'm still debating if I'm going to run this or something else, but it's really nice to have this card for just a little bit more addition of negation. Now you may be asking, have you tried out the Trap Tricks card, you know, that you can banish, you know, it and set the card. Trap Tricks, I'm forgetting the name of the trap card, but you know what I'm trying to talk about that can help search normal trap cards. Yes, I have been trying that out, but I just couldn't find the space personally, and I found that even though the fact I'm just running 2 1-of, I mean I'm running a couple, but I'm technically just running 2-of, and not a deck that's heavily reliant upon traps really, it was okay. So I just like this as a 2 of. This is something I'm trying out, and it may rotate in, rotate out, I don't know, but I just wanted some more effect negation in the deck. So that's all for the main deck, guys. We'll get on to the extra deck. We run our Blue Angel. We also run Bagasucha, number 41, number 60, Tornado Dragon, and Evil Swarm Exciton Knight as well. So, like I said, you don't go for rank 4s a lot, but if you have double planet Pathfinder somehow on the field, you can go for this. And it has happened once or twice, so that's why I'm running this. Especially if I have one on the field and then I Monster Reborn, another one, it happens. So that's why we're running this. So, next I run double Phoenix because of Pot of Extravagance, double Cerberus because of Pot of Extravagance, and double Unicorn because of Pot of Extravagance. This, out of all of the Link monsters, these 3 right here are the ones you're going to go for the most. That's why I'm running duplicates of them. For your just other generics, we run 1 Blackluster Soldier of Chaos, 1 Axis Code Talker, 1 double Bull Sword Dragon for the OTKs. It happens, so that's why I'm running 2. And then 1 also Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, which sometimes you go for, sometimes. So we're just running all these generic stuff right here, as you can see, to go for, just in case. So they're all there. Like I said, we're running double Cerberus, double Phoenix, double Unicorn, because we're also running these rank 4s over here, which we were talking about earlier, guys, because they can help you out in a pinch. Like I was discussing earlier, they can help you out. We're running these because they're just nice to have. We're running double Bull Sword because that's the generic one for OTKs, and this deck can put a lot of damage on board, and they can be in Bull Sword striking distance, so that's why I'm running double of this. And then these other ones are here just because they're nice to have. So yeah, hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Like I said, it's a fun deck, guys. It's not meta by any stretch of the imagination, I'm going to be honest with you, but it's really fun. And it's fun playing with cards that are kind of, you know, once you get the field spell up and running, it becomes like a mini Dark Destroyer deck, which is really cool. So that's why I wanted to go into detail of this deck just a little bit more than usual. Hope you guys all enjoyed it. Hope you guys, if you did, please leave a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to the channel for more awesome videos. Until next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.